Thank you for joining this episode of 805 Talk, a show about what's happening inside the 805, with a focus on the Simi Valley and Conejo Valley communities. We bring you everything local business owners, nonprofit organizations, government officials, community leaders, and real estate. Here's our host, Jeff Landau.
It is April 20th. I am very, very excited to have somebody that I am blessed to be able to call a friend, Jeffrey Saad. Hello, Jeffrey.
Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you. I appreciate that. I was just mentioning to Jeffrey that one thing that I want to bring to people are people that are excited and motivated and just have a really, what I think is just a really awesome mindset, something that I strive to keep on improving. And the first person that I wanted to share with people that I know is Jeffrey. Like right now, I'm staring at him and he's smiling. And if I, and you know, if I were to close my eyes and think about him, the first thing that I would think is about his smile, animated body style, and his typical orange glasses that are hanging from him that aren't hanging right now, but they're on. So there you go. Thank you for filling the picture. So, by day, this is not who Jeffrey is, but what Jeffrey does. He is a real estate agent with Compass. And what areas do you mostly focus on?
Well, you know, we're in the Beverly Hills office. My wife and I work together, and you know, for years and years, we had a business up in Bel Air, a real estate business. So we do a lot in Bel Air. But really, like all of us, we follow our clients and fill their needs. So we're, you know, from the ocean to downtown, all over the west side. We're pretty, you know, we do a good chunk in the valley now as well. So wherever our clients are, you know, need us, we go.
Awesome. So talking about mindset, where does your mindset come from? Your attitude, your joy for life. Is that natural? Did you have to build it?
You know,
take us through that.
Mostly tequila. No. Listen, I really, you know, we've all heard these different studies. I think that I am blessed to have a default switch that is set at a high level. You know, I think we're all born differently with different skill sets and different, you know, aptitudes. And I do feel grateful that somehow I just wake up happy every day. I expect every day to be the best day of my life. And I just always have. And I'm grateful for that. But I also think that what's important for people to know is that, you know, like everything in life, happiness, joyfulness, state of mind, it's also something that you need to work on. You know, if you want to be a better piano player, you must sit down at that bench. You know, if you want to be a better realtor, right, we know what you have to do, Jeff. We spend, you know, that's how we got to know each other. You know, we've spent hours in workshops being better for our clients. And I think people forget that being happy, being joyful is also work. It is a process. You know, for as long as I can remember my adult life, I've had some version of a morning routine that ensures that I start off with the right thoughts. You know, I'm a full believer that your whole life starts with how you think. How you think affects how you feel. How you feel affects the decisions you make. The decisions you make affect the actions you take, which affects your surroundings, and it becomes your life and your destiny. So I really make sure that I start every day with a positive thought. You know, I wake up and I literally say thank you out loud. I'm just grateful to be alive, grateful for the breath I have, for the people around me. And, you know, I read things that reinforce that thinking. You know, I do my meditation. It all sounds so cliche these days. I feel like everyone just throws that out there. Oh, we meditate, we're present. But it's not a cliche. It's thousands of years of, you know, proof, if you will, that mindset makes a difference. And I love that it's becoming something that everybody is open to and wants to embrace. And believe me, it didn't start from a good place. I had a horrible childhood, but you know, I'm a huge fan of Your Biography Is Not Your Destiny. You know what I mean? It's like we control how we react, which is exactly what's going on with this situation, right? I had to, you know, virtual dinner with friends last night, and they're doomsday. I mean, they're literally expecting the world to come to an end. That they don't know that's true. I expect flowers and August spring season and like life is going to be beautiful. I don't know if that's true either, right? But why think the opposite? You know, I always say if it's the end of the world, I sure want to go out with a smile and a cocktail in my hand.
Exactly. That's so. How so you had friends last night that don't share that same kind of outlook, or weren't sharing it at that moment. I don't want to generalize their life,
Yeah,
but
well
at that
said.
moment. So how do you want to encourage them? How do you handle that, since that is in conflict with your outlook?
That's a freaking awesome question because, I think that nobody likes a preacher, and nobody likes a Pollyanna, and nobody likes to be made feel bad because of their true feelings, right? Like I've learned in my life, I've made so many mistakes of just flying above people mentally and not paying attention. I just read this book called You're Not Listening. And it was the greatest book because it just again reminded me how much work I still need to do to really connect with people is about listening, not talking, about asking more questions, about understanding where they come from. So the old me definitely would have dove right in and said, "What's wrong with you? God, that's miserable. I'm so happy. Life is so great. Why not just think that way?" And then in their mind, they're going like, "Wish dinner would end sooner," you know.
Check, please.
Yeah, exactly. But instead, I'm just kind of really listening and trying to deeply understand them, ask more questions, talk about it. Like, how is that making you feel? Where's that coming from? What's another version that might exist? That is definitely a version. What do you think is another version? And trying to make it more of a conversation and then wait for them to ask me where I'm at. And once you fully understand other people, they're more likely to be interested in what you have to say. And that, of course, is what I'm hoping happens because I do want to bring joy to this world. My goal is I can't change politics. I can't change the world. But if I have this 20-foot radius of joy, no matter where I go, and I can just keep spreading it, hopefully it continues to make a difference. And if we all have that circle of joy and positivity, then guess what? All of a sudden those circles connect and the world is just, a better place. And so I think once I'm asked and once they're interested, and most of my friends know me anyway, this person even said like, "I know you're saying that I'm creating all this and this is going to be my reality." We laughed because, I love the old saying, right? You think the worst, I think the best, we're both right.
True.
That's your reality. This is my reality. And that's probably how it's going to play out, But yeah, it's a good question. I think, we all have to be careful to be sensitive because people's emotions are real. It is what they're experiencing. Nobody wants to be unhappy. Nobody wants to expect the worst. But I think it's a real mind shift to realize that, your inner state is going to reflect your outer reality.
And you mentioned that you have a morning routine that is important to you, that helps you get your mindset where you want it to be. Would you mind taking us through that?
Yeah, with pleasure, because
Thank you.
it's really, I can honestly say it's made my life great, because it just works. I wake up, first of all, I always have said there's two kinds of successful people. When I say success, I don't just mean money. I mean like happy with their life, their family, whatever it is. Those that get up at 5 naturally and those that make themselves get up. I really, and again, of course I say that big funny, there's plenty of people that get up at noon and have a perfect life and good for them. We all have to find our rhythm, but I do believe that by getting up early is the first step because now it's quiet. There's no phones. There's no chaos. I'm not running to put one shoe on as I'm grabbing my car keys. I am deciding by getting up early, I get to dictate the way the day goes. So I wake up, I have my water with a little bit of apple cider vinegar. Somebody told me that's good for some probiotic stuff. And so I like to learn, so I'm doing it.
Good for you.
It seems to be good. So I have my water first and and I stare out my window. We have this beautiful view that I live for. And I, wait for that sun to wake up. I wait for that volcanic sky to just erupt, and it's my first moment of just being appreciative of something that happens every day that, many people might not even get to notice. Then I pull my shot of espresso, 2 ounces of sheer pleasure. It's like, I love that, that much engineering and artistry goes into putting out a 2-ounce portion of liquid. I drink my espresso. Then I read. I have 2 things I read. One is they're like, just my belief system basically, right? One is called I Am, and one is, what I've always believed my life to be. Basically, it's putting out there what I expect my life to be. So I read both of those. Then I have a grateful log. I write down something I'm grateful for. Then I read the Daily Stoic. Right now, that's my thing. I love it. There's one verse for every day of the year. And then I read something positive. A lot of times I go back to The Power of Now or Becoming Supernatural or a book that motivates me, inspires me. I keep a log of inspirational quotes that I've taken from all these different books and things. So basically I'm just, marinating my body, brain, and soul with these positive, fulfilling thoughts. And it really does. I feel something click where it just puts me into the path, right? It just kind of makes sense. Think about it. If you wake up and the first thing you do is read an email from an unhappy client or bad news or even just regular business, your brain is now immediately going there. You've just basically jumped in the car at 70 miles an hour instead of starting it slowly and letting it warm up. And, you're likely to hit a wall at that speed without, any prep. So, and then I do my meditation. I finally, it took me a year and a half to get there, but I finally nailed it now where I can do a solid 20 minutes. And don't kid yourself, it never goes without scattered thoughts. I'll be in the middle of deeply feeling my chakras lighting up, and all of a sudden I'll be like, wow, if I put the spices in the meatball instead of searing on the outside, get back.
Chakra.
Yeah, and then 5 minutes later, my chakras are lighting up. I feel the energy flowing from the bottom of my pelvis up through the top of my head, and I'm about to be enlightened. And then I think, well, if I can just get them a credit for $10,000, I think this deal will close. Get back. But, it's okay. And again, I've always said, it's not about perfection. It's about the journey. Just love the journey. If I pretend that I'm going to be enlightened or I pretend I'm going to be the best of anything, it's never going to happen. I just want to stay a student. I don't ever want to be the master. I want to be the student and be enjoying the journey. So, but by committing to that 20 minutes, even if my mind fades, when I open my eyes, I feel a sense of calm and I love it. Now I'm ready to go work out and take care of my body. And oftentimes, sometimes in between meditation and working out, I'll slip in 10 minutes to just quickly check, some texts or emails. But for the most part, then I work out and then it's really 10 o'clock before my day really, really starts, and because I'm a firm believer again, and, your work will fill the time you give it no matter what. Right. So if I determine to take care of myself first, I'll still get the work done I need to get done, and I'll even get it done better in the remaining hours.
Thank you for taking me through that and taking us through that. That's something that I'm still figuring out what is mine. So to hear what yours is very helpful. You mentioned that you have something in your morning routine that you're reading. How much time do you dedicate to reading that? Is it a couple minutes, couple pages?
No, it's literally, I have it in my calendar. It just goes like this. We're doing it again, making millions debt-free, loving life, physically fit and healthy, bringing joy to everyone I encounter, inspiring my children, enjoying quality family time, guiding my children fulfill their dreams, not mine. I try to remind myself of that, traveling the world, learning, and most importantly, being present in every moment. I happen to life. On my worst day, I'm still the luckiest guy I know. Ride the wave, meaning I can control what comes at me. I have a choice of how I react. I can't control the size of the wave or how often they come, but I can choose how to react. And then I also have written down there, empathy is the ability to step into the shoes of somebody else, truly understand their feelings and point of view, and use that understanding to guide my actions. Because again, the failure part of me wants to jump in and solve problems and tell you why, you're wrong and it doesn't make sense. But until you empathize, you'll never learn that. And, and then the other one I read is, that, I'm always in the right place at the right time, which is why all my dreams come true. I am present in every moment, thus very aware of what matters. I have an amazing family that thrives, is happy and close. I cherish my wife and children. They cherish me. We always take care of each other. And I read, so basically I'm reading not what I've achieved, but what I expect my life to look like. Sometimes I'm on, sometimes I'm off, but by saying those thoughts out loud and reading them to myself every morning, it's just kind of like reset, right? I mean, I'm a firm believer that you are an average of the 7 people you spend the most time with, as they say. So, reading these things is kind of the same thing. If that's what I'm marinating my brain in, there's a good chance that I will get closer to achieving those things than if you don't have an internal compass. I think we all have to say, what's your internal compass? What guides your actions, your decisions? Who are you? What's your personal alma mater? If you don't have clarity on that, then how do you expect, I love that saying, if you don't know where you're going, you'll probably end up somewhere else, right? So it's about having that clarity on where you're going. So for me, that sets my day, my internal compass. It reminds me of, who I am and where I want to be.
I think you've shared that every time that I've seen you speak, and just for everybody else, I don't even know how many times I've seen Jeffrey speak. I've driven an hour and a half to see him. I've paid to listen to you. So, and every time you mention that, it inspires me, and inspires me to write something like that for myself, and it's still a work in progress.
Yeah, right. But that's the point.
I love it. Yeah,
it's okay.
Yeah. I'm really glad that I worded the question wrong, because I was going to ask you to share that. I didn't know if I should. And what I was really meaning to ask is, you had mentioned that you read something from Joe Dispenza or somebody else during your morning routine.
Right.
How do you allocate a certain amount of time, or how do you figure out how much time to spend reading?
Yeah, that's a good question. I definitely try to make it an hour, and I don't always succeed. The reality is, just I don't always succeed. Sometimes I'll read but I never not read. So an hour is ideal for me, and then also become really good at kind of some end of the day reading too. So, that's the way I feel better about, doing less in the morning sometimes if I have something going on that, doesn't allow me to be peaceful. Because I like to be very present when I'm reading too. Like, I really want to absorb the words. I'm sure you've done that too, where you read a paragraph, you're like, what did I just read? You know what I mean? You don't even know what you read because your mind's racing. So I try to really be present, and I'll read longer if I am. And if I'm not feeling it, then I'll, at least get in my 20 minutes.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
You bet.
I'm curious of your relationship to things like discipline, to fear, to doubt or self-doubt, self-talk.
Yeah. Again, this is something I feel lucky to just have naturally, but I don't think that should discourage anybody listening, because again, I am a true believer that, I can start at a 7 and you can start at a 5, Jeff, but if you're determined, you can end up at a 9 and I can drop to a 3, so your baseline is not the end all, but I do feel lucky that I have a good baseline. I've always just felt like it feels better to expect good things. So when I do feel fear or sadness or desperation of any kind, I let myself feel it, which is a very Eckhart Tolle power now kind of thing. I let myself feel it. Yeah, wow, where do I feel it? I have knots in my stomach. I'm like having this moment of like, whoa, what if, this is going to happen and that doesn't happen? But I think what I've been able to do over the years is then I quickly am able to let it go and move on. Because again, I remind myself, like a great coach, right? Like any great coach in any great field, you need the coach to go, nope, don't forget, shoulders back, or whatever it is, head up. So I'm my own coach. I have these things that I remind myself of, which is that there is nothing else but a story. I don't care what you tell me right now, Jeff. Other than you and I are talking, everything else is a story or a memory. So we don't know what the future brings. So why not expect the best? Why not just let it go? Because I'm a true believer that, man, if you're putting good energy out, that's the vibrational frequency you'll have, and that's what'll come into your life. It's just the truth. And if you are expecting the worst and putting that bad energy out, you'll probably bring bad things. So for me, I'm more afraid of putting the negative energy out than I am of the thing that I'm worried about. So to me, that's the way I reel it back in, because it's like, I don't want to have my crystal ball of moment of fear come true, But I also like to say, remind people that like, there is no perfection, right? We all, anybody who says they never fear anything or never worry is just not telling the truth, right? But how
and
you
that's
handle
something, yeah.
something else.
That's something that we've been studying with Steve the last couple of months, and it happened to be unbelievably timing. The book by Patrick Sweeney, Fear is Fuel.
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but because
Oh,
of Steve, I just downloaded it. Yeah.
exactly, and it's what's awesome about. I mean, we've been studying the book and talking about fear a lot, and it's what's been great about it is it's helped me be aware of how I think about fear and how I react to fear, and now how I want to, and the changes that I want to make.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Do you have problems with uh, discipline in your life, or does that come naturally for you?
Again, I think I always had a sense of urgency, even from a kid. I was talking to my childhood friend last night, FaceTime me. That's so cool about this period we're in, right? Is you're connecting with people, and even answering FaceTimes, which most of us normally wouldn't do, right? You'd be like, I don't need to see your face. Let's just chat real quickly. And, he, funny enough, reminded me, he's like, damn, dude. He goes, I'll never forget. You were like, we got to mow every lawn in this block if we're going to make money and, save our money. And he's like, I just wanted to go out and play. And, here we are 14 and you're making me mow lawns. I feel blessed that I've always had this natural sense of urgency, but there's no doubt about it. If I started at a 4, I'm at a 9 now because I've made it a practice. So the short answer is I don't have problems with it because I've always said to myself, what's more painful, doing the work I need to do or living with not getting what I wanted to get, letting my family down, not meeting my financial goals, not meeting my physical goals, right? Either way, there's pain, the pain of doing the work or the pain of failing. I choose the pain of doing the work. So it makes discipline a lot easier for me because it's really just, that's the choices you have, and again, I fail often, but I'm getting better all the time and the journey is amazing. So yeah, I like discipline. I'm a huge checklist guy. I'm a huge goal guy, but again, more than ever, it's been years since I did like long-term business plans and stuff, because my business plan is to bring my best self. If I bring my best self to the table, to every person I meet, to every negotiation, to every situation, my business plan will magically come to fruition, and that's the more important thing. I think a lot of times people spend a ton of time in this business plan, then they don't bring their best self. The plan's worthless.
So it sounds like being present.
Yeah, totally. Being present, being in a good place, having this morning routine. Because again, I'm a huge martial artist my whole life. And, some years back, I had this epiphany finally, which has been obvious to everyone else that's been in martial arts for thousands of years, that it's really a mental thing more than anything, So, I'm so working on deflecting negative energy, letting bad thoughts pass me by, not grabbing them, not pushing back on them, letting them pass, having that sense. And that's what allows us to all get things accomplished, right? When somebody calls you up screaming about the way this escrow is going, if you take that energy head on and react, you're probably going to lose the deal and lose a client. Or even if you're really good, you may win the argument and lose the client. But instead, if you come from a really good place, you're just going to understand that this is not about me. This is not an attack. Hey, Jeff, it sounds like this is really heavy on you. How can I help? Sounds like, you're expecting this thing to go all the wrong ways, just really, that kind of peaceful response gets things done and makes your dreams come true, and easier to have that kind of response if you come from a peaceful place and you stay regimented with your goals and,
Would it be wrong to assume that would it be wrong to assume
you're a good student.
that you have a easy time being detached or like not having a lot of attachments? And one of the reasons that I'm asking is because you've mentioned failure a couple times, and you mention it so casually, like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to fail, and you know what, it happened, and I'm going to move on, as opposed to, oh my God, there's something wrong with me, and I did it wrong, and have like a pity party and beat yourself up. You seem to go, yeah, okay, so I failed, and I'm going to fail again at some point, and let's just move on.
Yeah, I'm glad you said that. You're very perceptive, and you're exactly right, and that was one of the best things that happened to me but again, see, this came from like, I read and read and read for years. I mean, most of my life was going in an upward trajectory, and I read and read for years, like, all the greats, Thomas Jefferson, didn't get elected 12 times before he finally became, president, or, all these stories you hear that you can't succeed until you hit bottom. And so all that kind of belief system prepared me for one of, my big failures, which was 5 years ago now. I spent a good chunk of savings opening this restaurant. It totally failed. And the joke is, like, we'd be in the middle of a dinner rush. And again, even a failing restaurant seems successful from 7 to 8 because, everybody's 7 to 8. So I'd work in the dining room, talking about my special, getting everybody excited. I looked at my wife. I'm like, isn't this great? She's like, no, it's not. We're losing tens of thousands of dollars per month and you're not making any money. This is not great. And it was like such a wake-up call that, like, I was loving the journey. And so the journey mattered more than, the fact that we were losing a lot of money. But what I did is I thanked her, first of all, because that's what a great partner does, is wakes you up. I wrote a 3-page letter to myself on everything that I did wrong and with this restaurant and how I could have learned from it. I sold it. I was in an open house. I still had carnitas under my fingernails on a Sunday morning, running to my open house. I said, okay, I got to get back to real estate and make it happen. And I transitioned, literally sold the business and already had 4 escrows going in real estate and moved on. And I was, and again, you have 2 choices, right? I don't remember bad stuff too well because I just focus on the good. So when somebody says, like, oh my God, and, it reminds me of something terrible that happened at the restaurant at that time. I had to pull out, $100,000 in savings to pay vendors for vegetables or whatever. I don't remember that. What I remember is the chef came in, sat at the table, looked up at me and said, oh my God, that duck confit is so crispy and juicy. And here comes a group of realtors that I love and they're having dinner and oh my gosh. And, those are the memories I have, and you got to move on because failure, the best way to succeed is to fail more and fail faster.
And you end up learning what doesn't work, right?
Yeah, I love those quotes. I haven't succeeded, but I found 1,000 ways that don't work.
Like Edison or something.
Yeah,
exactly.
Like, and it's just true. And again, I think you have to, if I think there was a great quote by J.K. Rowling, or what's his name, but it said something to the effect of, if you are so careful your whole life that you never failure, that in itself is the failure, So, and again, some people will say, oh yeah, it's easy for you to say, but I've got kids. So do I. We all do. That's life, but you can't be attached to the fear of what if it doesn't go well. You have to look at it as, I've done enough homework. I believe it will go well. And now I'm going to go for it, and if it doesn't, for me, that's the thing. I've always been a huge believer of, I need to be on my deathbed and not say woulda, shoulda. I just want to say, I'm grateful and I did it. And that doesn't mean it turned out well. That doesn't mean it was a guaranteed success, but I definitely can't shut my eyes wondering what if I would have tried. Darn it. That to me is the ultimate torture.
I thought you were going to say you would have a poster above your deathbed. Wow, what a ride.
Yeah, exactly. I like that. Now I will. Thank you, Jeff. That's good. No, but it's true.
So one thing that I heard you say, and I don't think it was recent, but it was relatively recent, that you want to emerge from this time of this virus and that we're all going through. You want to emerge from it with no regrets. So what does that look like for you? And have you actually thought about what it would mean to you that if I do X, Y, and Z, or how do you know that you will emerge? What would it look like to emerge from this period without any regrets?
I think everybody has to ask themselves, when this is over and I look back, will I be proud of my behavior, of my accomplishments, or lack of accomplishments possibly, which is fine too. If somebody's goal is, hey, I'm just going to really do nothing and enjoy this period of absolute mellowness, which is a great goal too. So I think each of us have to ask. For me, I said, I'm going to emerge this more fit than ever. My daughter and I are working out like crazy. So I'm going to be healthier. I'm going to finally be able to fully play at least one song on the piano. I'm going to have my French better than ever. I'm studying every day. These little goals. I said I'm going to do one project around the house a day. My wife and I have been great about tackling, one new project. So, and I'm going to have my database totally dialed with my clients so that, I'm emerging locked and loaded and ready to be of service. I haven't even said to myself, oh, I need to sell something during this period. I just want to be of value to my clients. So I want it, for me, success will be that my client said he was of value to us and emotionally or with information without being of pressure. My family and I are closer than ever. I'm more fit than ever. These are all things that I just think it's like we all say like, oh, if I just had some time, I would do. We got the time now, folks, right? And not everybody. So there's some people. I mean, that's the thing too, Jeff. You and I, some people could say that it's horrible. I think we're blessed that we are able to just go, okay, I can't do anything work-wise. Some people are busier than ever, and that's a different conversation for them. It's almost right, like uninterrupted. They're just, I call for this, I call some friends at like 1 PM sometimes, like, hey dude, I'm in my shorts. I'm like, hey, you want to chat? They're like, I'm in like 20 meetings, dude. Like, I'll call you after. Because I forget that there's plenty of people that still are full throttle,
Right.
But for those of us who aren't full throttle, for those of us to have all this time to be fearful and to think all these negative thoughts, those are the people that need to ask themselves, is this what I'm going to be proud of when this is over?
Oh, love that. You had left out that you started doing some cooking with your daughter on your Instagram page?
Yeah. Thank you. That's been a blast. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, because that's my past life, chef, restaurant owner, real estate. They're all kind of commingled. And yeah, so it's been really fun to just get back to doing a cooking video a day. And that's the other thing. And that's one of those things, I didn't plan that actually. That just happened organically because I said, hey, let's do a couple videos and, because I got the time now. So that has been a true joy because for me, I mean, that's the thing. At the end of the day, if you ask me what's my one simple goal in life, it's just to vend joy. I just want to bring people, happiness, leave them better than I found them. And for me, food is one way to do that. And I enjoy it so much. So yeah, that's been great. Thank you for following.
That's beautiful. How can people follow? Is your cooking on your personal Instagram page, or did you make a separate page for that?
It is. I've always had two. It's at Chef Jeffrey Saad. That's my handle on Instagram. JEFFREY. The last name is SAAD. So at Chef Jeffrey Saad. Our real estate one is JN Saad Homes. So okay. Yeah. Sometimes they end up commingling, more than ever. It's like, we've all entered this era of like, we're slashes, it's like a guy said to me that one time in the plane, he goes, oh, some like millennial, he says, oh, so you're a slash. I'm like, okay, I didn't know that term, but I like it. I'll be a slash realtor / chef or whatever it is, You know what I mean?
Thank you for taking that a step further. Cause I'm like, what's a slash? Okay.
Yeah. But it's funny too, because that's been a joyful evolution too, to realize that like in general, we all appreciate people for their wholeness, not just for the one thing they do. So, I think more than ever, that's been a great lesson for me too, is that, it's not like, oh, if I'm going to do real estate, I can't let people know I'm a chef, or if I'm going to do chefy stuff, I can't let them know I sell real estate. It'll discredit me, instead it's like, we got to embrace all of who we are.
Nice. You've had more time for yourself now than you normally would have. One of the blessings of this slow time. Have you learned anything about yourself that you didn't know, or anything surface?
That's a brilliant question, I think, for every listener to ask themselves, right? Because this should be a time of that, right? Like, they say in China, the busiest office since things came back to normal is the divorce, department of the government, because this is a time where you either, fall more in love or realize maybe there's some challenges as far as personal stuff, work stuff. My daughter is saying like, wow, Dad, I love my PR job in New York City, but I'm so into this food stuff and creativity. Maybe I need to go another direction. But to answer your question directly, myself, I don't want this to come across wrong, like, oh, listen to this cocky idiot. But honestly, it's been a period of just awesome validation. Because, when you're surrounded by mirrors, there's no way to not look at yourself. And that's what this period has done to us, right? It's put us in a room of mirrors because there's nowhere to go. And you can't run from yourself. It's the old joke, right? Wherever I go, there I am. That's, what it's really about. And I got to say, I'm very proud that it's kind of like, I feel like I'm at the Super Bowl. Like all my training has now made the main event good. I've been tested, like, am I all talk or is this real? And I got to tell you, I feel very peaceful. I feel very fulfilled. I feel very close to my family. I feel like I'm sharpening the saw, and all the stuff that I always preach is coming to fruition. And so I got to tell you, I've just learned that maybe what I've been doing does work.
Yeah, it seems like it kind of set you up for not set you up to be in this spot, but set you up on how you want to be in this spot.
Yeah. Yeah. And the reality is, I was talking to another realtor the other day. I love it. He said a great thing. He said, this is really no different than life. It's just that it's more amplified, like how do you behave in your normal life? Right now, it's just being amplified, and it's really the same, same set of stuff. The morning routine, it's like I do it an hour or two later because I don't get up at 5 now.
Right.
I'm happy to get up at 7 because I know I got all day anyway, right? It used to be like I had to get up at 5 to get ahead of things. Now it's like I get up at 7, I'm still way ahead of things. So, but yeah, I think it's really just been very fulfilling in that sense.
Nice. And you mentioned that one of the things that you do in the morning is you read from the Daily Stoic, the 365 meditations.
Yep.
I have that also from Ryan Holiday. What have you felt the study of Stoicism has done for you?
I think it kind of put into words what I've always tried to do and believe, just again, reinforcing that, we have 100% control over how we respond. I feel like that's really the foundation of it, but what I love about it is Ryan Holiday is the best. I mean, I love that book and all his books, The Obstacle is the Way and Ego is the Enemy, because the Daily Stoic is great because it gives you one bite-sized piece. Like, it's almost like if you love to read and learn, it's almost a little bit of a torture because you're like, it's already over. I a few minutes if you're going to stick to the daily thing. But what's great about that is it reminds you that you do need to think deeply about each thought. It's not about consuming. I always say in life, it's like, it starts as knowledge. Okay, I'm reading this, it's in my head. But that's fades no matter what you read if you don't then make it a routine. So those daily bites help you make it a routine because you have to think deeply all day about that one topic, right? And if you can make something a routine long enough, then it becomes ritual. And when it becomes ritual is when your life changes, so knowledge to routine to ritual. And I think that's, a lot of what that is about. What I love is that Stoicism is just, hey, I can choose how I respond. If I have my internal compass in place and these, ways of thinking and feeling and being that are true to me and matter, like the one today, I don't know if you read it, but the one today was great. It said, literally, no matter what you acquire, it won't be what you thought it was going to be once you have it, but honor, integrity, and all those foundational elements, you will never have buyer's remorse. If those things, you
That's
acquire.
awesome. That's I didn't read it yet. I also get his Daily Stoic email and his Daily Dad email.
Yep, I love those.
Yeah. I'm fascinated when I'm reading anything from Stoicism. Is somebody said that 2,500 years ago?
Right.
Somebody said it like a couple months ago. I'm like, hey, this is what I think. I'm like, that's really old. Yeah. And it's so fascinating that, how many things have changed in 2,500 years, right? And like everything.
Right.
But this foundation of thought, and I'm sure you could take it even further back into Buddhism and other practices. I just love that part, how that this was true 2,500 years ago. And it's still true now.
Yeah, because we're human, and it's the human is, always has that underlying, truth to it. It is. True. It's amazing, right? We all think it's like, woo, this is cool new stuff. And it's like, nope, it's just repackaged really well.
Exactly.
Which is awesome. That's what, makes it, usable.
I could keep our conversation going a lot longer. My face is starting to hurt because I'm smiling so much, and your energy on the screen is infectious. And I really, really cherish this time. I really appreciate it, and I'm looking forward to listening to this.
Thanks, brother. It's so good to see your face.
Thank you, and I am also looking forward to sharing this because I hope a lot of people listen and get a lot of positive from you. Thank you so much, Jeffrey. It was a really fun show. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do have any questions about real estate, please reach out. You can reach me by phone at 805-341-0398.
or you can find me on my website as well at jefflandauhomes.com. As always, thanks so much for listening.
Thank you for listening to my daddy's podcast.